Hey fans, welcome to a special edition of the Aftershock. We are here in Vancouver with the Chief Operating Officer of the San Jose Earthquakes, Jed Mettee. Jed, how are you doing? How's everything been? And give us a little bit about why you and a lot of people in the Quakes organization front office are here in Vancouver.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jamin. Excited to be here. We had an interesting August with a few weeks off from regular gameplay during this Leagues Cup break, and we have the whole front office here to support the team tonight. We had two big events this year with Stanford and Levi's, and the staff as a group. We sold over 85,000 tickets between those two games, which is great. So everyone's up here to support the team tonight as a reward for that accomplishment. And we're excited for a big game. Two teams really close in the standings. We have 11 games left in the season, so it starts tonight.
Yeah, and I brought you here to tactically break it down with me right now. We're going to talk a bit about kind of the operations within the San Jose Earthquakes. So we've had, now a few of these conversations with different front office members and haven't gotten a chance to catch up with you. And I mean, you have a really big sphere of influence, and I've gotten to interact with you a bit in some of that more recently outside of just communications. So many people know you from your days as VP of Communications, but talk about what is your role and what departments do you have in the organization these days?
Right now, I've started in communications in my career, but I've, over the years, I've been now in marketing, community outreach, the broadcast stuff, which was TV before. Now it's just radio, and also deal with Apple TV stuff this year. Additionally, I book the outside events for the stadium with a team of people. I oversee stadium operations. We have a great team of people doing the stadium operations for both the facility side and also the events, for the Quakes games and for non-Quakes games.
So talk a little bit about communications, because this is where, people like me, the media members, we get a chance, to more interact with you and your team on just, game day type things, press conferences, the post games that we do, all these different types of things. But I have to imagine there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that really none of us even really get to see. So what does it take from a communications side in order to prepare for an entire week when you've got a match, let's say typically on a Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, there's kind of two parts to the communication stuff. There's the sort of week to week stuff that you do prepare for a match. Like we prepare game notes for media members, for broadcasters to have interesting information about the game. If a broadcaster is calling the game, why does he know that we have a 5-game, streak of scoring in the last
winning
15
streak,
minutes?
I'm sure,
like
right?
there's little things like that, nuggets of information that we pull from the communication side to try to help make the reporters and the broadcasters look good. We also use that information to try to pitch stories about, players or, team success that, may be interesting to a writer or a radio broadcaster or a podcast or TV.
Right.
And that also is true not just for on the field stuff. If there's a off-field activity, for on September 2nd, we have a Kick Childhood Cancer Awareness Night. We're going to try to get some, publicity around that night to generate awareness to support some of the causes that we're working with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, American Cancer Society. So there's all those aspects of it week to week. But the hope is that the other part of communications is what's our plan from the beginning of the year? Which are the players we expect to break out or have big seasons? Or this year we have a new coach, so we want to get Lucci's name out there in the way that he wants it out there, and how can we grow his awareness both locally, nationally, internationally.
Right. So Apple TV, you mentioned, big deal for the league, just now wrapping up Leagues Cup last night and crowning a first Leagues Cup champion. And I think before we go a little bit further, it's probably worth pointing out for the fans that don't know it, you are the longest tenured Earthquakes employee in the organization. So I have to imagine when you came to the club 21 years ago, and what media and communications looked like then to what it looks like today with the Apple TV type deal, that's going to be a significant change. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what did it used to look like versus what it looks like now?
It's obviously a lot different. We had a local TV deal with, what was Fox Sportsnet when I started, became Comcast Sportsnet California over time. So with the local deal, that was a lot different. You were negotiating a contract with your people, your friends in San Francisco at the NBC offices to do the deal. You work with the local broadcasters. You picked your own talent in conjunction with NBC. Now it's a national deal. It's more like the NFL model where there's not every game's a national broadcast. So we're working with different broadcasters every week, which is a different, unique thing. Usually you do have about 25 games on local TV, 8 or 9, 10 games on national TV. But this year Apple TV has been fantastic. The quality of the broadcast is amazing. The producers and the people at the league office that have worked on this have done a great job of setting everyone up in a short amount of time to succeed. So I think for us, we're seeing a lot of success in the Apple TV stuff. With great broadcast, great quality of the announcers, pre-game shows, post-game shows, a lot of interest. And now with the arrival of Messi and all the other players that are coming in, it's just enhancing that even more. And now people all across the world can watch these games.
Back in the day at Buckshot Stadium, you would have like a TV truck out there, in behind everything. And now how does the Apple TV feed kind of work compared to those old days of TV trucks?
I mean, it's pretty similar, to be honest. We still have the TV truck. We actually have 2 TV trucks now, usually for Apple TV, because they have more equipment, more cameras. They've committed to more cameras for the games. A typical broadcast locally with 7 cameras. Now there's, anywhere from 12 to 15, depending on what you count as a camera. There's, kind of like little small point of view cameras on the nets and things like that.
Right.
So they have a lot of equipment that they sometimes have set days to prep because they have a lot of cable to roll out. But a lot of that stuff is actually similar on sort of delivery from the stadium. Now it goes across fiber. I think the Buckshot days, even or prior to that, we had satellite trucks beaming the signal off the satellite and back to master control.
Oh, right.
Now it's all fiber. So that makes it obviously a lot easier. Everything's hardwired in and ready to go. But I think that television keeps on evolving the ways you consume it. So, last night we were watching the Leagues Cup final on our phones during dinner. You didn't do that in 2001 for sure.
Right.
You had to find some place.
It's certainly come a long way in that period of time. And you also mentioned soccer, kind of operations, game day operations. There's a lot that goes into being able to put on a stadium event.
Yeah.
And you've also taken on kind of 2 special events this year with the Cali Classico, which is something that you've done before, but haven't done in a while.
Right.
And then Levi's Stadium. How does, that type of scaling, kind of happen? And what's different in putting together a game at PayPal versus moving it into a larger stadium like that?
And PayPal, we've done so many games there. Every year you do, 17 to 20 games at PayPal. So you kind of have a routine. You know how things work. When things go a little incorrectly in one area, you can fix that. You can move on to the next one. You have a good system down. We have really good people that oversee the events. And then we have people on the facility side that are, fixing all the issues that can come up. When you go to scale the big events, you need great partners. So, with the 49ers and Levi's Stadium, they were a great partner. They, really supported the event at Levi's in May. They helped not only on the operational side, they helped promote it for us. And they have, really experienced operations people. And when we put a lot into that game, what made that one operationally more complex is that we had a huge, musical act at halftime. We had a big pregame, presentation outside the gates with vendors and, ballet folklorico and mariachi bands and all kinds of community events before the game. These are set up and coordinate and organize. So that's where there's a lot more complexity. Actually, operating the building at Levi's is great because they know how to do it really well. The same way we know how to run PayPal. So that part was, really well executed by the 49ers. Stanford's a little different. We've been going there for a long time. So we've worked with them on many different levels. And so that stadium is different than Levi's, but we know how to run it. It's, very fun venue for a lot of great memories there. So this year was back to the Midsummer Classico and it went really well. We wanted to get the win, obviously. We got a late tie, which was nice to at least come back at the tie there. But overall, it was a good event, and finishing off the fireworks every year is a great touch point for Midsummer for me.
Well, next game a home game is against the Galaxy, so an opportunity to right the wrongs.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So another area that you've taken on and made I think a pretty strategic hire, someone who I was familiar with from his work around Atlanta United and some of the things he used to do, is Toodle Rahman as your vice president of marketing. Can you talk about the change that's going on in the marketing department? Because it looks like there's like new types of outreach that are going on, and maybe talk about the change in the department as well as some of these new areas that you're starting to look into now.
Toodle's fantastic, great background. He's a huge soccer fan first, which is important when you're marketing the sport. And so he knows the game really well, both MLS, US soccer, international soccer. Plus, he has great marketing fundamentals. He worked at Coke for many years on a bunch of different brands within their portfolio. He also worked at L'Oreal, so he just has a great background. He really understands how to get people excited about a product, and I think he's done a great job with us in the 2 years that or almost 2 years he's been here. I think that the change there is like, he just has a lot of great ideas. When we interviewed him, he had a lot of new thinking that we thought could be really helpful to the organization. Mm-hmm. And what's happened in the past year has been great. We are, working really hard to expand our footprint across Northern California. We felt like we've done a really good job in Santa Clara County of like establishing a strong presence, and we have a good support from there. And those are the main season ticket holders, but we know there's more to the whole, area. So we have a Northern California strategy. We've been down in Salinas a number of times this year, and we do it in a way that we have big events, community engagement, and we, promote ticket sales down there. So it's sort of three things in every market. So we've been Salinas, Watsonville, Morgan Hill, Gilroy area. We broke the world record for the largest clinic with Shea Salinas back in June, which is a great event. And then coming up in Hayward and San Leandro, we've had some good connections that we're going to be working to open a new futsal facility with them in September, October timeframe. So I think that's great. And then we're going to continue to expand to more areas and try to, not just buy marketing and spend dollars somewhere to promote matches. We want to connect with the community on a deeper level and contribute to the community in those locations. Yeah.
So how much has kind of this now, with Lionel Messi coming in the league, it certainly, has shined a new light on MLS. We're hearing that the numbers for Apple TV have doubled in effect, with that type of effect coming in. And clearly the soccer has matched up to those expectations so far. So with this kind of new emphasis within MLS, does that mean that there's maybe going to be more opportunity to be able to do more of this type of outreach and to continue to grow the Quakes fan base because it's getting this spotlight now?
Yeah, I mean, I think every year I've been in the league, it's gotten bigger. It grows all the time. We're trying to grow our core fans, but also grow the casual fans. And that's a really important thing. I think the league, every time one of these new players comes in, it just shines a bigger spotlight on the league. When Landon Donovan came back to the Quakes in 2001, that was actually a big deal at that moment that he came back from Germany and played for us and led us to a couple championships. There was a spotlight on him at all times. Tons of interviews with national publications, scoring goals in the World Cup, et cetera. But that's, and Beckham came, right. Zlatan, and now Messi, and Messi's performing at an unbelievable level. So it's even more interest and more buzz around the league that, is good for all of us. And obviously this moment in time is great. The women's national team, unfortunately, didn't win the World Cup, but they brought a lot of energy to the sport this summer. Next year, we're going to have the Copa America in the United States, right. Then the Club World Cup, and then the Men's World Cup in 2026, and hopefully the Women's World Cup the following year. So what a stretch we're on to grow the sport.
Yeah, it seems like a really amazing time. How many total people in your operations area these days? And if there's any area we haven't gotten a chance to really talk about that you want to shine a light on a little bit, opportunity to do that here.
Yeah, no, I think there's about 25 to 30 people, depending on how you slice it, of the full time. There's a lot of, let's see, tons of part-time people work the game days, hundreds of people, from game to game. But I think one area we haven't touched on is also our community outreach. I think we do a lot of great programming. That department, we brought back our Wine and Dine fundraiser this year, and we raised a lot of money for a lot of different causes, including America Scores, which were our partners for a long time. We started a Gear Up program this year that has done really well, which is a donation, lightly used or new gear that we can pass on to organizations that are underserved. That's been great. And our two fundamentals there are Pledge 74 is our food insecurity leg of community relations, and then health and fitness with underserved youth. And so we work really well in both of those areas. We have a fitness program we've been doing for 14 years for third and fourth graders around the Bay Area, Northern California. So I think that's an area where we do a lot of things every day. We try to connect really close with the community and love to publicize that.
Well, it's been really good to get a chance to catch up with you and really hear about these things that the fans don't get to hear about from a day-to-day type basis, because there's clearly a lot of people working very hard behind the scenes with all these things going. It's amazing. You said 25 to 30 full-time employees and a lot more part-time employees on game days, but there's so much that you're talking about that those set of employees are accomplishing.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting that, of course, they get rewarded for their hard work around these events to be able to come here to BC Place and get to see an away match against Vancouver today.
Yeah, no, it's great. And, the staff's been working really hard. And as always, I'm always open to feedback on anything. Feel free anybody can reach out.
Well, he's in charge of communication. So if we have any feedback, he's the guy that we go to. Anyway, Jed, really good to talk to you today. Thanks for joining the Aftershock.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate
nice
it.
to talk to you. And fans, of course, we will be back after the game with the post-game show, which by the time you see this will have already happened. So be sure to check that out. As always, thanks for joining us on the Aftershock. Take care and have a good day.